Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In the previous video, we learned what delegates are, why delegates exist, and how single cast and multicast delegates work. But if you have worked with modern C# code, you have probably noticed something. Most developers don't write delegates like this anymore. Instead, you often see code like this, or this notation, or like this. So the question is, how did we get from traditional delegates to lambda expressions? And what exactly are action, function, and predicate? That's exactly what we are going to learn today. So let's begin. Before moving forward, let's quickly revisit what we learned previously. Here, I have created a delegate. Just add parameters to it. Here, I will create a static method add which will print the A plus B. Let's assign it to my delegate add and we will invoke this del provide parameters here and if I run the application I get output 30. Everything works perfectly. But imagine if we have a large application, you might end up creating hundreds of delegates. For example, delegate to create an employee, to send notification, to calculate salary, etc. etc. A lot of extra code. Microsoft realized developers were writing too many delegates, so they introduced better solution. But before that, let's understand anonymous method. Suppose we need a method only once. For example, here I have created a show welcome message method and assign it to my delegate. But I only want to show this message at the beginning as it is a welcome message. So the question is, do we really need a separate name method? Not always. Sometimes creating a method feels unnecessary. Microsoft thought the same thing. So they introduced anonymous method. Anonymous means method without a name. So here I have created delegate. Now if I run the application, I get welcome. But can I achieve the same thing without creating a method? Yes. How? I can write delegate. Now, if I run the application, I get the same output. So, you notice something? We created the implementation directly. No method name, no separate function. This is called an anonymous method. The keyword here, delegate, is not creating a delegate type. Instead, it is creating an unnamed method body. Many beginners confused here. There are two uses of delegates. First, creating delegate type and second, creating an anonymous method. Both delegates have different meanings and different functionalities. So it is a very important interview question. Now, let's make it more interesting. Just create a parameterized anonymous method. Hmm, okay. So here we have created an anonymous implementation with parameters. If I run the application, I get output 30. Everything works exactly like a normal method. Now, let's be honest. Anonymous method works, but look at the syntax. It is still quite verbose. It's still too much code. Microsoft wanted something cleaner, something shorter, something easier to read, and that's how Lambda expressions were introduced. A Lambda expression is simply a shorter and cleaner way of writing anonymous methods. Let's convert this anonymous method into Lambda expression. That's it. Much cleaner, much easier to read, and this is why modern C# heavily uses Lambda expression. So at the left side, there are parameters, and at the right side, the method body. And think of the arrows as takes parameters and does nothing. If there is only one statement in the method body, we can also remove these curly braces. Same result, cleaner code, and no heavy syntax. Now let's talk about where you will actually see lambdas. List and result. That's it. So the question is, what is this x equals to greater than x modulus 2 equals to 0? It is a lambda expression. Internally, it becomes a delegate. Most LinQ operations uses delegates. Now, let's talk about another example. Task.run console redline. Hello, that's it. If I run the application, it will provide me hello. Again lambda, again it is a delegate. Now let's solve another problem. Suppose we create many delegates. Delegate to create an employee, to send notification, and to validate salaries. Too much repetitive code. Microsoft created generic methods. These are action, function, and predicates. Generic first, action, second, method, and third one is predicate. These are the most commonly used delegates in enterprise application. So first generic type is action, a method that returns nothing, means void. Let's create a normal delegate. Here, our delegate do not return anything. So it is equivalent to action, action. And if I assign any lambda expression, and invoke the action, now if I run the application, I will get the same output hello. Let's create action with Parameters. To add parameters, here we will add the type of the parameters, and inside parentheses we will name, and while invoking the action we can add these parameters. If I run the application now, I get output 30. So action accepts parameter but returns nothing. So the most important question in interview is, can action return a value? The answer is no. Can action takes parameters? The answer is yes. Now let's move to function. Function is used when a method returns a value. Here we will use the function keyword, add one more in here, and it will return a plus b. Now if I run the application now, I will get 30 as the output. The most important rule for function is the last parameter is always the return type. Example, function int, and the third parameter is int. So the first parameter is parameter int, second is the parameter int, but third one is the return type of the function. This question appears very frequently in interview. To simplify this lambda expression, we can remove the parentheses, curly braces, and the return keyword. So this will provide us the same output as well. Modern developers usually write function this way. Now let's move to our predicate. Predicate is a special delegate. It always accepts one parameter and returns boolean. Think of true or false check. Let's create a predicate. It will always take one parameter even. That's it. If I run the application now, it will provide me true. But now it will provide me false. So the important thing is predicate always takes one parameter and returns value in Boolean data type. Okay. Let's create another real world example for predicate is adult 18. Thirty-five. If I run the application now, yes, the person is adult. So the most important interview question here is when to use actions. The action do not return anything. So we can use actions to perform sending emails, notifications, or messages. As in all these methods, we are not expecting any return And when to use function? While calculating salary or counting number of employees or calculating text. In all these methods, we are returning some values or we are expecting some output. And when to use predicate? The predicate is a special type and it will only return true or false. So we can use predicates to check is employee active or is adult or is valid user, etc. etc. So the easy memory trick is use action when we are returning nothing and just doing something inside a method, and use functions when we are calculating something, and predicate when we are checking something. So what happens internally? Many developers think Lambda expressions are something magical. They are not. The compiler converts Lambda expression into delegates, and so when we write this x is greater than 18, the compiler creates delegate compatible code internally. This is why Lambda works with link queue, tasks, events, and collections. So today we learned why anonymous methods were introduced, anonymous methods, Lambda expressions, real-world usage, generic delegates, action, function, predicate, and when to use each one. In the next video, we will solve 20 important delegate interview questions and 20 Big Four style MCQs that frequently appear in .NET interviews and assessments. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other .NET developers. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.